Guerrilla Insight, Episode 5, An Unstoppable Reality. Well, it's a beautiful day here in New York. It's Wednesday, February the 21st, 2018, and I absolutely love the weather. It's 75 degrees, 74 degrees. I don't even know how many degrees it is. It's gorgeous. And if you guys hear a bunch of kids running around outside, you hear some screams of children, it's because there are literally kids just running around outside, directly outside my office, and everybody's enjoying this weather and having a cookout. Cookouts, running around, screaming, eating, relaxing, taking it easy, enjoying the brief weather that we are having, and then tomorrow we dip back into the 30s. So it's a great time to take advantage of it. I was fortunate enough to just run out real quick and grab myself a frappuccino. Beautiful day. Just drove with the windows down. Just enjoyed it. It was wonderful. It was really, really good. Thought about washing the car, but that would be pointless because tomorrow is going to be cold and raining. So there goes that idea. Anyway, one of the things I want to get into is a few things. It's a crazy world that we're living in. There's multiple layers of news, okay? There's multiple layers of news reported by multiple people, multiple sources, and a lot of times those sources are not correct. A lot of times those sources are not right. It is reported that Trump stated that killing 200 Russian mercenaries in Syria is a strong stance to Putin. And that could be a headline that would catch most people by surprise, except for those people that have been listening to me. If you've been listening to me, you'd know that those weren't Russian soldiers. They had nothing to do with the government of Russia. You need to go back a few episodes and listen to that whole, I think it was last week, where I broke down those whole entire shenanigans of what the heck is that, what's going on over there, and in regards to that. So the other thing that I want you to be aware of, there are news right now that the U.S. is moving some killer drones to fly over in North Korea right after the Olympics. Well, that's a good thing. We all know what North Korea is all about at the end of the day. If you listen to the program on Tuesday, as if it were, I broke down the entire reality of what happened between the deal between the Latvian bank, Ukraine, North Korea, SpaceX, NASA, and the Obama administration. I'm not going to waste my time repeating it here. But one of the things I want you folks to understand is that the game is afoot. The game is definitely afoot. And the ratcheting and the intensity is beginning to increase. It's not even spring yet, and spring today feels like it's been in the air and something that people are wanting so bad. But I sit here and I wonder what this summer is going to be like. Because I'll tell you right now, the fall and the spring was intense. The fall and the winter, was intense. You have idiot, brain dead kids. And it's not their fault that they're idiots or they're brain dead. It's the establishment's fault. It's the educational system. It's their parents for not being vested, not being in tune, not being ones who are doing their due diligence before they hand over their children to public education. Okay? You have school students already began protesting about gun violence. Now, you know where I stand on those things. You know, and if you've been following me on Twitter over at the Rogue Money, you would know that I posted up an advertisement on Craigslist. You got these broke, dumb kids in high school with broke, dumb teenagers and broke, dumb adults. These are basically the dregs of society. And they're going to be out there protesting about gun violence and holding signs that says abolish the IRA. I'm sorry, the NRA. Abolish this and abolish that and ban guns and do this. These are idiot kids. Idiot kids. Okay? These are the inheritors of what establishment, far leftism, and fascism has led to this. These are the inheritors of Western civilization. If you look at the West, folks, and this is what disgusts me about the West. Look at the West. The West is insane. When you look at Europe, what do you have? You have a bunch of effeminate men, and the whole entire continent is run by women. And what do you have? You have crisis. You have a broken down economy. You have a migrant crisis. You have violence. You have the most amount. You have hell on earth and failed states in the making. That's what you have. And when you look in the U.S., what do you have? Well, you have the same thing. Not so much in Generation X. See, in Generation X, in the older millennials, okay, the older millennials, okay, those in their early 30s, early to mid 30s are fine. They're still tempered by the Cold War of the 80s and the 90s. They're still tempered by the toughness that was those times. But you have Generation Can't Take a Punch, which is these new crop of millennials, which I call Generation Can't Take a Punch. Generation Can't Take a Punch is out there with protests. Generation Can't Take a Punch, thankfully, is a generation that is not interested in breeding. They're not interested in life itself, because they themselves have become the progenitors. They have become the very progeny of nihilism. So I'm not too worried about them. But they will be used as pawns. They will be used as pawns by Soros. That's already being done. So where will we go? Where will we go? Where will we go? The new Silk Road is here, folks. And earlier in the morning today, I spoke about James Madison, how out of touch and with reality that even still those that are near the very hearts of power, very corridors of power in this country, have no clue on how to deal, with this new multipolar world that has sprung upon us. And that is the issue that we need to face. Because going into this summer, and I'm telling you right now, if you thought for 1 second, if you thought for 1 minute, 1 second, 1 minute, if you thought that it's going to be quiet, that's going to be a cheerful, quiet summer, you haven't seen anything yet. I predict this will be the most hellacious, most intense summer of world events, global events, domestic events, the likes of which you have never seen. You have never seen. Okay. The trust system is broken. Blockchain is proliferating everywhere. Blockchain is the reaction. Blockchain is the symptomatic reaction of a human immune system that craves honesty. It is a symptomatic reaction against fraud. It is a symptomatic reaction against charlatanism, against fraud, against lies, deceit. It is that reaction. That's what blockchain is. And I think right now, from now to the end of the month, all the way into the summer, you're going to see some amazing moves in cryptocurrency, the likes of which you've never seen. You're going to see innovations in bleeding edge technology being rolled out that has to do with cryptocurrencies. That even you're going to see some innovations in the gold and silver market with some blockchain implementations there. And all the while the banks will fight, and all the while the government will rail and roar. All the while they'll vilify, all the while they'll point the finger, all the while they'll have their theater, all the while the drama will continue. And I fear, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And all the while there'll be more QAnon posts. And I like QAnon. I think he's great. But I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I want to see some real arrests. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to indict Hillary Clinton. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to have her dead to rights. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to have the entire Clinton Foundation, even along with Bill and Chelsea Clinton, to be thrown behind bars. It doesn't take rocket science. But yet this sycophant runs around giving press conferences, talking in award ceremonies without a care in the world. How is this even possible? It's beyond me. How is this even real? It's beyond me. What's really happening behind the scenes, folks? What's really happening behind the scenes? Well, we don't really quite know. We don't quite know. We don't quite know. And that's the thing with this unstoppable reality that is put forth. If you look within the United States, you will find nothing but confusion. And if you look within the United States, everybody's getting played at some sort of level. We're getting to the point of it's become information impossible. We've reached information impossible. We've reached what's called peak infotainment. There's not much more we can take. We can't decipher what is real from what is true because they're so convoluted, the likes of which we've never seen. So how do we project reality? How do we decipher this reality? How do we figure this out so we can project it into our own minds and around to our own communities and friends? Simple. You have to look from without. You have to look from without. And what I see from without is the end of the dollar. What I see from without is the beginning of the new reality, an unstoppable, unquenchable reality. And that reality's here. It's marching forward. And that is the multipolar world. And all of you, thanks to the power of the internet, all of you have a stake in radically changing your lives because of it. Whether you're trading cryptocurrencies, whether you're writing blogs, whether you're sharing information, whatever the heck it is that you decide to do, or you're innovating and creating products or new ways of doing things, new techniques, or braving out there and being a maverick and redefining industries in a new and incredible way. You have a stake in it. You cannot look towards, well, I'll put it to you this way. You can do this. You can be hopeful about the things that are here in the United States, and I for one am. I am hopeful. But you cannot neglect what you need to do. No matter what happens here, folks, I'm telling you right now, people are screaming market collapse, imminent market collapse. The only thing that is of imminent collapse is their predictions of collapse. I'm telling you once, I said it before, you have another 5 to 6 years, maybe 7, before this collapse finally comes, before the economic reset takes place. And whether or not the United States will be a part of the renegotiating process and the rebuilding process, that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. But we have an incredible opportunity. We have a time of reprieve. Use it for your advantages while the political classes are gouging each other's eyes out and stabbing each other in the back, while they're virtue signaling each other to death and eating each other alive, all the while boasting about their altruism while hiding their avarice. They're so busy at war within and amongst themselves that they're too busy, distracted. They're not paying attention to you. You take that as an advantage. Use that to your advantage. Use this time to build wealth. Do you understand me? Use this time for personal development. Use this time for spiritual development. Use this time to build wealth. Use this time to build wealth. Use this time to build wealth. Use this time to educate yourself. Figure out how things work. Do it. You'll never get another chance like this ever again. And no matter what happens when the dust settles, you will be prepared to profit from it and or take action. The unstoppable reality. The unstoppable reality. It's here. It's now. And what are you going to do about it?